Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome back, everybody. We're very lucky to have John and Robin here, local filmmakers. Yeah.
Well, I don't like to brag.
Brag away, Robin. He's really, I think we're just going to give it over to you, really, to talk about the Stimming Pool and all the other things that you're engaged in the town. Really would you just can take over now?
What was the first question again?
Well, there isn't a question on the list, this is a different thing, we're doing that later on. So basically, do you want to talk about how the Stimming Pool happened and what you were doing with the Stimming Pool?
That's a good question, John, thank you.
It wasn't just with me actually, it was with the whole group, the neurodiversity cultures group. I can't remember exactly how it all started, because I didn't actually come up with the idea. The whole group did, but I just can't remember.
When it initially started, because Stephen, who's from Queen Mary University, started a series of workshops with autistic people, and because he knew Project Artworks, of course, massive influence down here, he asked for some volunteers to come through that, and they recommended Robin and Lucy in particular, because even then I think they were aware of the fact that there have to be some verbal skills.
Sure.
They're not initially always going to be that way, because what happened was shortly after they started doing all the workshops together, COVID came along, which changed things remarkably. So suddenly anybody who didn't have any verbal skills was kind of accidentally alienated from the project.
Oh wow.
Well, because there was very little way into it.
Yeah,
you know, so it kind of filtered out a little bit, and then what happened was that a lot of the work that was done was basically using something called, it's either Mural or Mosaic, I can't remember which one it is now, but one of those softwares. So basically a mind map, and we found that quite difficult, didn't we, Robin? I mean, do you want to explain why you found it difficult?
I can't remember if I found it. Well, actually, maybe because there was a lot of ideas. That's one of the reasons.
So the mind map grew hugely, and now it's part of the exhibition. Because as well as the film, there's an exhibition that goes with this called Stim Cinema, and basically it takes up an enormous wall. I mean, really about sort of 6 meters by 10 meters long, I think, of this mind map, which is beautiful when you look at it. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. But there's lots of ideas in there, and we're only in a tiny laptop. So we were Stephen and his friends had big iMacs. We had this tiny laptop, and we were trying to sort of map our way around this thing. It was like being an ant, really, in a sort of in a city, and we were like, don't know where anything is. So we got a bit lost in that. But what it meant was that everybody could explore their own particular areas they were interested in. So for Robin, of course, B-movies, because Robin runs the B-movie fan club, which we'll talk about in a second. And then out of that came everybody's individuals' ideas, so like the idea of the camera being autistic, about the idea of testing people, and about the idea of Lucy's alter ego character, which she has. And so that was a natural thing that sort of progressed through that. So by the time we came out of COVID, the group had quite a clear picture of their areas of interests, but no idea how that was going to be as a film, did we really, Robin? And then there were lots of meetings around tables, lots of sort of discussions about what it could be. And I think that's when you started doing your storyboard, didn't you, Robin? Do you want to explain your storyboard and what it was about?
Well, I've been really interested in history all my life, I would say, so I'm a huge Horrible Histories fan. And come to think of it, it's been a while since I've even watched the TV series. Anyway, I've decided to make my own storyboards in comic book-like form, drawings of historical events. But in my world, no one judges against sex nor gender, but they still judge against race and religion. So all the stuff that happened in history still happened. So basically, women can be warriors and be in politics. And I've covered tons of historical events, some which we already know, the Battle of Hastings, the Crusades, to some that we don't know too much about, like the Mughal Empire in India, parts of the Ottoman Empire, a Jamaican, this was a real person, a Jamaican woman who was part of a group of ex-slaves who fought back against the British in Jamaica, Queen Nanny, part of the Jamaica Maroons. Anyway, my storyboard for this film was set in the American Civil War. A female Yankee soldier is in the Louisiana swamps and ends up fighting against Confederate zombies.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So I did the storyboard drawings for it. We sent it to the animator. What's his name again?
I've forgotten.
Anyway, and I loved the results he gave back. We filmed a Venezuelan actress. Would you call her an actress, or was this?
Yeah, she's a movement artist, really. Or
And-
they are a movement artist. Sorry.
Sorry, and there was a deaf actor who was great, who was the zombie.
Yeah.
I directed them to play at the scene, and they were then rotoscoped into the animation
Yeah.
Wonderful.
when you
So-
trace over live action. It's been done since the time of Disney.
Oh wow.
So we never actually met the animator because he's travelling around the world with his family. So he was in Bali, I think, at the time, on a laptop doing it all. So we never actually met face to face. So he took all of Robin's drawings and then said, "Well, you know, how gory do you want this? Why they got these amorphous faces? What's this all about?" He then went away and did lots of sketches of what he thought we were talking about. And then from there, he then did the colorized version. And there was lots of good discussions about how gory it should be, because they were worried at one point that Robin might tip our rating over from 12 to another rating. So Robin was like, "No, it's got to be gory. Got to be eyes flying through the air. Don't worry about it." And
I've always loved scary and disgusting stuff when I was a little boy, and I still do.
and I think also the thing is, it's so cartoon-like and it's so Scooby-Doo-ish.
And it's not that non-sequence.
No, I think everyone finds it amusing anyway.
It's supposed to be a film within a film,
Yeah.
part of a lost film.
Right.
Yeah, and that was interesting because obviously they used Robin's B-movie connections as part of the film. So it opens with us discussing about B-movies and discussing about going to the B-movie Electric Palace Cinema and putting on a typical B-movie night. And Robin does give a speech at the beginning of every B-movie, don't you, Robin?
How often do you have them?
Once a month, near the end of every month.
Yeah, last
on a
Sunday of
Sunday.
every month, yeah.
Yeah.
Or was it the Electric Palace? Yeah.
Oh yeah. The Electric Palace have been hugely
They're great,
supportive of Robin and neurodiversity. We just had a neurodiverse season and autism, and also their kind of their community connections are really important for us because it's part of the community. So now the Nest and Egg Tooth are involved with it as well, which is really great.
That's wonderful.
So all that is kind of bled into why we work with them. And they were great. I mean, we used the space to film in. We had extras from the local community, and I think also the important thing was that, one of the great things about moving down here when I came down, which is 1999, so quite a long time ago. I don't know why I did the Yorkshire accent from Yorkshire, but it felt like it should be appropriate. Anyway, so when I came down here in 1999, the reason I kind of stayed was because there was a very strong feeling of it was a place where people didn't talk about things, they did things.
They did them, yeah.
So if you said you were going to do something, it wasn't like a sort of theoretical idea. It was very much like, I'm going to do this mad thing, and everyone goes, "Great, what do you want? What do you need?" And people were very supportive, So when I came down, I did loads of stuff. I did spoken word poetry events for 5 years, Word About Town Festival, Coast of Currents Festival I ran for 5 years, comedy festivals, comedy nights. It was just that kind of place. And it was the same with the film. So when we said to the St. Leonard's pub, "Can we come and film in there?" They went, "What's it for?" And I said, "Well, Robin's doing this." They went, "Nah, it's all right. If it's for Robin,
Carte blanche.
we said, "What do you want? What do you want a fee?" And they went, "Give us something, but it's all right."
Sure.
So and it was the same attitude everywhere, basically. Nowhere we went in Hastings and St. Leonard's did anybody go. It's always the opposite way around. It's always yes,
No
and then
sucking of teeth going on.
and that's why we filmed so much of it down here in the end. And obviously Chloe from Well-Known Films is based down here as well. So they're an amazing documentary company. You should probably get into chat to actually because they're just, the stuff they do is amazing, and their life story together because when they when they got together they cycled to China, I think, or something mad like that on a tandem.
I know.
It's the sort of thing everyone talks about doing and nobody actually does, but they did it. You know what I mean? So anyway, so we did all that work, didn't we, Robin? So Robin's asleep already, and then you had to do the physical side of actually directing it, which I think you found quite a challenge.
Yes, because I've never been a director before. I always remember to say action. I could never remember to say cut.
But you gave one of the best bits of direction I've ever heard give a performer. What was it?
I said to them in terms of timing, to the actress and the actor, think of a cork being pulled out of a bottle.
Yeah, which, because I direct as well, and when Robin said that, the actress went, okay, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And I thought,
Perfect, yeah.
Look at that.
that's such a good direction to give, so I will be nicking that at some point.
And I wanted them to feel relaxed, just like I was. I didn't want to be like those other mean directors.
No.
Yeah, well, the amazing thing about the whole filming process was that there was a lot of background work which Chloe did, really. So every time there was a call sheet, everything had a photo attached to it.
Fantastic.
So there were no surprises. You knew who all the crew was, you knew where the location was, you knew where the rest room was, where the quiet space was. Everything was labelled, everything was sorted out food-wise, and it was a very calm atmosphere. So, most films are a lot of lighting, equipment, and the film in our house, they blacked out all the windows, they put a trolley thing in, lights, cameras everywhere. And then Robin, what did you say about having you being filmed?
I didn't like it at all.
No, he didn't want to do it. So he suddenly said, I'm not doing this. And instead of the crew going like a hissy fit, they all kind of went, all right, if Robin doesn't want to do it, Robin doesn't want to do it. We won't do it. And then we went upstairs and chatted to Robin, and he went, all right, we're doing it. And he came down and it was literally we're doing it. And we had to do it there and then. But the crew were amazing. They never ever put stress on anybody. So the whole atmosphere on a film set is normally like, come on, time,
and
you know what I mean?
till the stupid hours of the morning doing this stuff.
And also we didn't have that awful sitting around doing nothing for 5 hours.
That's good, yeah.
And then suddenly people screaming at you to get ready and to be there and to do that.
No one needs that.
No, and that part of the whole Stimming Pool idea is that there's going to be a film package produced which explains how you can work with autistic people. So it's not just a case of doing the film and leaving it, it's doing the film and then going, and this is a process you can use.
Yeah.
You don't have to make films this way.
Yeah.
Because all the way along, people were like, well, how's this going to work? You've got, it's 6 autistic people all directing, you've got Chloe producing, you've got Steve. How does this work? You can't have sign off by that many people. But they did.
But you're pioneers now.
Yeah.
This is a film made by autistic people, not about autism.
Thank you.
Do you want to explain a bit more about that, Robin?
It was the idea of making the camera autistic.
Yeah.
Oh, talk to me. I want to hear about that.
It's very complicated to describe.
Well, essentially, the camera has its own physicality and its own reason for being in a scene. It's not just a static
It's a
vehicle.
character in itself?
Yeah, it's a character in itself. So it basically will get distracted by things. It will stim when it feels nervous and tense. It will just wander off into things. And that's why the whole lack of a connected storyline is kind of works, because the camera kind of acts as us all the way through it.
Yeah.
But I mean, we've had one criticism which didn't like the film. Out of all the film showings around the world, who said, oh, this is a chance to explain autism and you missed your opportunity.
Was that its goal?
Sorry?
Was that its goal?
No. It was never its goal, and the whole point was to not explain autism and to not be...
They didn't get it, did they?
No, they didn't understand that we weren't there to tell people what autism was about. We were just to be, weren't we? And you were allowed to be who you wanted to be, weren't you, on set? Do you think?
Yes.
I don't think you ever felt like anybody was pushing you into a corner, do you? He said, pushing you into a corner.
Well, when we were doing the bar scene, I was just so stressed by the big crowd, and then I decided to not do it.
And it didn't matter. You just said, I'm not doing this, and then you went. That was fine, everyone went.
I like the gentleness around the choices and the choices that you're making, and how that was held. The way that you're describing that sounds so...
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like I've been in the creative industry my entire life, and I've sat through so many meetings where people are saying yes, but meaning no.
They don't mean yes.
Yeah, and also just waiting for their opportunity. So they're going, yeah. But what we could do is, and what they mean is,
Be
sod
quiet.
you, I've got something more important to say. And the group meetings were never like that. It was always so positive and so sort of yes, and we mean yes.
And accommodating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was all, the whole thing was about the fact that we could either say no to ideas. In fact, the only time we ever said no to anything, the whole time I was in any meetings, was when somebody said, shall we put subtitles to explain what's happening here? And the whole group went, Hell no. We don't get subtitles.
Yeah.
You know, we're not. Our life isn't a subtitle for
Absolutely
us.
that.
So why should? No, the
Imagine
viewer
that.
will be
That's
confused.
another
The viewer
film.
will be lost. The viewer will join us in our experience. And I thought, wow, that's amazing.
That's very powerful, brave stuff in this world, I think.
Yeah.
It really
To create a film where you weren't trying to explain everything.
Yeah.
It's and not putting in a narrative. So it went initially, didn't it, to all the sort of documentary film festivals, and I think we all thought, well, you know, there might be one or two pick it up, and we'll be grateful. And when Docs picked it up, which is Copenhagen,
oh, that's
oh my God, we were like,
holy
holy
carte blanche, isn't it?
crap, that's the one you want to be in. And they didn't just pick it up; they went, we want this. You give it to us before anybody else. Okay, we want this, and it was like, okay, and then they invited the whole group out there, and it was just like, wow. And it was Copenhagen.
What was
great,
that
wasn't it?
like?
Well, it was great, but what I really enjoyed was when we went to Florence.
Oh yeah.
International jet setter, as he's now on the list. That's
Well, he's
fantastic.
turned down. Robin's turned down so many places because unfortunately.
Can we please not?
Yeah, okay, we won't go there. But
I'm very happy we went to Florence. It was amazing, beautiful city. It was very lucky not to be destroyed in World War II.
Yeah.
It was just so unurban. You could just see the buildings wherever you looked without highways or big buildings blocking your view.
Yeah.
And the weather was perfect. We ate outdoors at night.
Food is a big part of any journey we do with Robin. What he's like most
me
about
too,
Copenhagen.
Those hot dog dishes.
Yeah.
Robin's big thing about going to Copenhagen was, can we have the hot dogs in a baguette that they do in all the corner shops? And I
Oh,
thought,
nice. Yeah.
yeah, sure we can get that.
Because
But it was-
you've done your checking up beforehand, haven't you?
Oh,
You
yeah.
know exactly what you're going to say.
But Robin's opening speech in Copenhagen, which is the first time he's ever done a speech about the film, and we'd kind of talked about what we should do, and then Robin just didn't do any of it. Robin just did his own
I
thing.
said at the end, we shouldn't judge each other about who we are or what we think, unless you thought Brexit was a good idea.
And then the whole cinema, like 250 people, just fell about laughing.
Wicked.
And then Robbie went, the film, and walked off. And I thought,
Yep.
all my years of comedy, and I've never had that kind of timing. It's just so annoying.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And that's the annoying thing about being with Robin. Sorry, Robin, but Robin has an amazing talent for drawing. And during COVID, we used to come up through the park every day. We'd go along the seafront, sit in the park and draw. And I'd sit there and torture a bit of paper into looking like the landscape. And Robin would just do these marks. And I'd turn around and go, Jesus Christ. Oh, that's so good.
You got the
You know what I mean? And Robin has an ability to put marks on paper, which is always just beautiful. And I think also it came across in the film that very sort of gentle approach to the whole audience and who was there and the B-movie nights. And again, maybe we should talk about that, Robin. But we'll finish with the Stimming Pool first. So, yeah, once it got picked up by Docs, which was extraordinary, and we did a talk there to film students, didn't we, Robin, as well, actually? Which is quite a challenge for you, I think. Wasn't it, you think?
Yes.
Okay. So we talked to young film students about the whole process, and then it just got picked up all over the place. So America, Australia, Brazil, Korea, it's been everywhere. And again, we thought that was the end of me. We went to Folkestone, we did the Folkestone Festival, and we met the distributor for England. And we said, oh, we're kind of glad this is coming to an end now. And no, it isn't.
It ain't.
And we went, why? And they said, well, because next year is going to be even more intense because there's going to be loads of people wanting Q&As and
Of
films.
course.
And we were like, oh, okay. And it's been true actually, because since last year it's been invited to, it went to MoMA, the Museum of Modern Art in New York. It's been to Maine, it's been to, was it recently invited to? Switzerland, wasn't it? Was the last one.
We were offered the opportunity to go to New York. I turned that down, primarily because of you know who.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at the time I was like, we'd been invited for free to New York, you know what I mean? We're always like, no, we're not going because of so-and-so. I was like, it'll be all right. Anyway, it wasn't all right, apparently.
But you're sticking
But the
to
thing is,
your-
you seem to agree with the idea now of my.
Yeah, I do. I think you were right, Robin.
You were absolutely right. Yeah.
But Robin said, yeah, anyway, we don't go with the negative. We have turned down places. Robin's holding out for Amsterdam and Berlin, aren't you, Robin? That's the big ones.
That'll happen.
Yeah. So now we've got a distributor for England. It's going everywhere in England. We've done a Q&A in Brighton, and we're doing one in Uckfield in May. It's just we keep on getting invites all over the place, and the nice thing is the team spreads the invites out between them. And again, it's a very supportive team. So if somebody wants to do something particularly, the rest of the team will go, hey, if you really want to go to Glasgow, then you do it. That's fine, you know. And they get paid their transport and their accommodation, and a little bit of money for doing it. They've done the BFI twice now, I think, in the ICA as well, which is again, you know, I grew up in London as an art student and went to the ICA loads of times, and I've never been invited to the ICA.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Well done.
Robin gets invited to the ICA. It's like my brother also is in TV. We said recently that Robin was asked to be one of the judges for the BFI, and he went, "Did you get that?" I went, "Well, he did this photo. I've done tons of stuff. I've never been invited to that ever." And I went, "Oh no."
Yeah, but your film is a real pioneering movie, isn't it? You've made something which I don't think, for me as an autistic woman, I find it really interesting that you can write about your experience and turn that into a film, and it echo your life as opposed to educating other people. It gives you, it's like being on the inside of your life, if you like. This is what I see, and I think I have such admiration for that, and not having to fit into what somebody else would consider a mould of a movie. You've made a movie completely differently to any other movie.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, a lot of that is down
That's
to, I
incredible.
think, Steve as well, from Steve Eastwood from Queen Mary University, who was a huge guiding hand on this, and was also really running a project anyway about autism and cinema.
Sure.
So he's been an amazing guiding hand, and he's also Robin's mentor for his next projects as well.
Great.
So
Next
we're doing
project.
more alternative histories, aren't we, Robin? Do you want to explain?
The idea was to show the images of my drawings and have
They
my voice
will be
recorded
up.
over them.
We're going to take some. Oh, I see. That's the idea for your next project.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry, because we're going to have photographs of your images. You're going to supply us with a few, and we'll
Yeah, we
they'll
can
go
do
up.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Talk to me about that. Talk to us.
I'll be talking about them, and my voice will be recorded over the images.
Yeah, so the initial thing we'll do is take some of Robin's alternative histories, get him to talk about them, and we'll animate the drawings by just simply moving across. It's a very simple way of doing it. And then the next project from that is we're looking at doing a triptych. So big paintings, big drawings instead of the smaller ones of a major battle. And which one are we thinking of at the moment?
Agincourt, which we've been to.
Yeah, we went to Agincourt. Which is great.
How was that?
It's a really nice museum, actually, wasn't it, Robin? And quite cleverly put together. And it's a battle that you're fascinated by anyway. Because we won for once, actually, didn't we, Robin? The
Well,
English.
it's not just... Well,
It's not just that.
but they had all the old armours and weapons.
Yeah, so the idea at the moment is for Robin to do a triptych of that. So we're going to apply to the Arts Council for a grant for that project.
Brilliant. Wow.
Yeah.
Where will you do that? That'll be here.
It'll be in probably the dirty old gallery in the old town, because that's where Robin did his last project. So he worked with Mark Daniels, a local artist who does wonderful drawings of hares and rabbits and foxes and crows and things. And do you want to explain about you and Mark, how long you've known each other and what you've done together?
He was working at Project Artworks that I always used to go to a lot, and he's just such a nice guy. And I did big drawings with him, and
So
he's an artist himself.
Yeah, so I would leave Robin there with Mark Daniels, and they would be talking about the Beatles or whatever it was they were talking about at the time, and I'd come back about 6 hours later and they'd still be talking. And Mark would be in the background like, wow, this is amazing. And then there'd just be this big drawing they'd done together. So he's going to be probably working with us again, I think. But he worked on the last project. So Dirty Old Gallery gave us space, and Mark Daniels and him just spent the day just nattering, basically, and talking about drawings. And occasionally Robin would ask for advice on, how do I get this bit better than this and that sort of thing. But they just have a really nice relationship, Robin. Just natter all day long. Natter and eat cake, as far as I can see.
He sounds great.
Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with that. Tiffin was the very first word that's used in the little documentary we did about it.
Really?
Do you want some tiffin, Robin? But yeah, so they get on really well together, and so they were going to do these big panels. That's the idea, and see what happens, basically.
Great.
Fantastic.
And then do you want to talk about the B-Movie fan club?
I've been doing it for 12 years now. Maybe
13.
longer. 13,
Wow.
yes. When I was in secondary school, it was an idea. Actually, I came up with the B-Movie fan club. The Electric Palace came up with the idea of showing B-movies on a monthly basis, but I invented the fan club.
Yeah.
With my family, obviously, not just me alone. And I'm so happy I've been doing it, but I wish that when I first started I could have given speeches, but I guess I had butterflies in the stomach. Because now, like I said, I always look up information on the films to make sure there's something to talk about. And occasionally I have given away occasionally endings.
Occasionally.
And we have had funny nights, like there was that Italian one
That was great.
that we put into English, but then halfway it went back into Italian.
Yeah.
Daddy tried to see what was wrong, and he said, what was it he said to them?
Well, I said in the end, look, I can't get this to work, so we could go upstairs and get another B-movie, we got loads. And they all went, well, we're halfway through, so it's just basically chasing the monster with tanks now, isn't it? We went, yeah. And they went, well, we'll just watch it in Italian then. So we watched the rest of the film in Italian. It's great.
It's just so weird with the DVD. I found with this one, if you put it into English, it goes halfway in back into Italian. If you put it into Italian, halfway it goes back into English.
Weird. But yeah, so quite often Robin's speech at the beginning will give away all the secrets in the film, or tell you all the special effects and how the lava is actually porridge painted red, and you go, oh, that's going to slightly ruin that. But anyway, but you know.
We showed one that was very relevant to the times we're living in, Donovan's Brain.
Oh yeah.
Where it shows not communism as a threat, but capitalism run amok. Because a scientist has brought to life the brain of a dead millionaire who then controls him.
Yeah.
He's a proto-terrorist in the film.
Yeah, he is. But a capitalist terrorist. Yeah, and then again, another thing about the B-Movie that's really, really nice is that we have a community who regularly turn up, so we get regular people. A lot of neurodivergent, nerdy, autistic people. And it's a really safe, kind of nice place, isn't it, really, Robin? You know what I mean? And again, I think the Electric Palace barely makes any money out of it.
Sorry, what?
Well, we barely make any money out of those nights because there's not enough people to really cover the money. So come along, people.
Oh, so you want more people to come?
Yeah, well, we're actually going to produce a flyer soon, I think, to actually promote it again, because I think it kind of disappeared a bit because it's been going for so long.
Why did it disappear again?
Because they weren't really publicising it. So the new layout of the programme, I have mentioned this, is very hard to read if you've got poor eyesight, but also only highlights certain key things, so it can look like those are the films that are on. So I think it needs to be a thought, but so some things disappear under the radar a bit. And anyway, it's hard work running a cinema. I mean, it really is. I mean, because
I just hope it doesn't shut down.
I know it will shut down. I think the new team are doing a really good job of trying to find new ways of keeping the place going. You know, and it's a wonderful
give out
resource.
free flying saucers.
We give out free flying saucers.
Do you?
Oh yeah, free flying saucer sweets is part of our evening. Yeah,
And
and it's been generally sort of like the fact that it's been going for 13 years, and we haven't repeated yet, have we, Robin?
Really?
Still got stuff, yeah.
Wow.
There is so much to choose from.
Yeah, I bet.
Occasionally, ones we've shown from the 70s turned out to be a mistake.
It's just so bad.
There are some things that are inappropriate and just can't,
It's just bad. I mean, the thing is, because it's the B-Movie fan club, I mean, bad is good.
Bad comes into it, doesn't
Well,
it?
bad is fantastic because we can just go, it's bad and it's fine. In a way, they need to be really bad. And
The thing is, even the ones we showed from the 50s were quite just... Remember that one we showed that had a flamenco music that just went on and on and on and on and on and on.
They played the same tune all the way through, no matter what was happening. And we cut after about the first 10 minutes you were like, please don't, oh, they're going to tuning. And they did, didn't they, Rob? Just over and over. And it was like some sort of bizarre torture in the end. It was really awful. So yeah, the B movies.
And then there was another one we showed where they just went to the same places again and again. The astounding.
They ran out of that house so many times and then ran back to it. I was like, don't go back to that house. That's the same for a start. And then every time they went to go and do something, they said, I'm just popping out here. We followed them for about 10 minutes where they went down this winding path, which seemed to go nowhere. And then they went back again, and it was like, oh, just don't go out the house, we're just going down that path again.
Would you say the soundtrack on that was equally as monotonous?
Yes, that was annoying too.
Well, I would say it had different slight bits, but yeah.
But it shows you how not to make a movie, doesn't it?
But you know what, I think with the important thing for us, I think, about the B movies.
Well, Ed Wood, I'm so sorry.
No, I was about to say
Ed Wood has always been regarded as the worst filmmaker ever, but that's why people loved him, and he loved making his work. He wasn't in it for the money. He really loved it, and he had, as according to Tim Burton's film, he had lots of difficulty. It wasn't all his fault. I mean, he actually really was a great pioneer in transgender rights when he made Glen or Glenda.
Yeah.
Because he was a transvestite himself. And unfortunately, his first wife was...
She didn't like it.
His second wife was more open-minded.
Yeah.
Anyway, the thing is, unfortunately, the man who was behind that film, who was giving the idea, was sort of a sleazy director who got annoyed with him when he made lots of changes. When they tried to make Bride of the Monster, again, lots of changes. And Plan 9 from Outer Space was financed by a Baptist church who really gave him a hell. And in the film, there's a bit where he meets Orson Welles, and they're just talking about how hard it was in Hollywood, ideas, putting over stuff. But he says it is worth it in some places, because apparently when he made Citizen Kane, the studio hated it because it had a lot of ideas that was against him. But it turned out to be the greatest film ever made, and as he says, visions are worth fighting for.
I think also the whole point of the B movie fan club for me is the passion of the amateur. And Roger Corman wasn't an amateur by the time he finished.
And he made just as bad but enjoyable films.
But again,
he also makes those very well made Edgar Allan Poe films.
Yeah. But there's a kind of passion and naivety in some of them, which is kind of what we champion, really. It's kind of like, well, have a go. I mean, have a go and it might be awful. Have a go and it might be brilliant.
Do you remember Santa Claus Conquers the Martians?
Just the title of that.
Exactly. Just the title of the poster.
And guess what? He never does.
No, he doesn't conquer the Martians.
Oh dear.
I mean, there are so many bad monsters. So many bad. I love the ones.
Robot monster, the gorilla with a space helmet with TV. And
I also love the ones with the young sort of singers in them. You know what I mean? With the giant monitor lizard coming to the shack.
Gila Monster.
The Gila Monster, yeah.
And the horror of Party Beach.
Honestly, horror Party Beach. So yeah, there are so many bad ones. It's just great, and they're always. And every time I think we got to the end of the list, I say to Robert, "We need another 12," and he goes, "Okay." And then half an hour, he's back downstairs with a list. And I'm going.
He's got many more.
We have shown a lot that technically aren't B movies, but we get away with it.
Get away with it.
That's good.
I remember the very first one. I think it was the very first one I showed was Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah, which is great.
That's a classic.
We then showed The Brain That Wouldn't Die, which is
another classic. So what qualifies something for a B movie?
It was a film that was shown before the main feature film.
Yeah.
It was an hour or so long.
Yeah. So officially, it was only a short film shown before the main feature.
Yeah, I remember it.
But we are very loose with our. I mean, most of them are sci-fi horror films, aren't they? We don't show any Western films. They are traditionally there were lots of those done, and romantic rom-coms. Well, lots of short rom-coms were made, but we stick mainly to horror and sci-fi, don't we? Which is what everyone wants anyway. And occasionally we show Godzilla films as well, which is great. Just a big man in a suit going around kicking the hell out of Tokyo again.
Yeah, again, and
but so good.
And all I can say is, construction workers in Tokyo, they build quickly.
They do.
I mean, you get a whole city built in no time at all. It's fantastic. We could learn from them.
We used to have those on
Saturday morning pictures. Yeah. Well, when I was a kid, we went to Saturday morning pictures, and the funny thing was, I remember distinctly. It was a Buck Rogers one, I think it was, and there was a cliffhanger ending where somebody was falling out the window. But the next week we came back to it, and he didn't fall out the window. No. He was caught, and I was like, I remember distinctly, he fell out that window. You know what I mean? So the cheese led man.
And there was a filmmaker, William Castle, who really made his films a more fun experience. I mean, this is what's the problem with the cinema nowadays. I mean, for Macabre, he gave his audience members a $1,000 guaranteed policy, insurance, $1,000 insurance for anyone who dies of fright, claiming this film is so scary.
Yeah.
Never happened once, but it was
He had a nurse
for House on Haunted Hill. He had a glow-in-the-dark skeleton come over the audience's heads that kids would take advantage of, throwing stuff at it.
Yeah.
For the Tingler, he set up buzzers underneath the seats that buzz your bottom. At certain points of the film, that there's this parasite in the film that looks amazingly bizarre, that feeds on fear that you can only defeat by screaming.
Yeah.
So in the end, it's supposed to have escaped into the cinema that you're in.
Yeah.
And that's when Vincent Price says, "Scream for your lives," and that's when the buzzers would go off.
Yeah.
And for one film he made, Mr. Sardonicus, he apparently said at the end you could change the ending of this film for the main villain. If you think he's been punished enough, thumbs up, mercy. If you think he should be given the really terrible ending he deserves, thumbs down.
Can't see him.
And the thing is, there was only one ending made for that. He didn't want a gimmick for that, but in the end the studio insisted, so they just rushed it in at the last minute.
Yeah, so no matter what you vote for, he dies, because he says, "Oh, right, okay, everyone's voting."
Yeah, he's on the screen, he pretends to count.
Yeah.
He's like, could you hold up that a bit higher, please? And he pretends to take away the no mercy. So you've given it.
Yeah, he never actually says what the figure is, so it doesn't matter what size the cinema is or how many are in the cinema. Very clever. So yeah, and I love all that.
He even made a much more grislier and gruesome and violent version of Psycho, Homicidal.
No, blimey.
Is that to come up, do you think, will that?
We haven't chosen that.
Not yet, no. But
Not yet.
it'll appear eventually. They all will appear eventually.
Fantastic.
So yes, that's great. So it's that kind of community thing for Hastings, isn't it? So you've got this, the B movie is something which, crops up and brings in people who are neurodivergent who like that kind of stuff. And the great thing about the cinema, the Electric Palace in particular, is that we have user groups who hire it, and we get groups who want to show films which are pertinent to their particular community and talk about things afterwards.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. It's not just watching a film and disappearing, it's actually watching a film, talking about it,
Absolutely.
using it as a basis for, let's talk about, the things that have been brought up, which is great.
We do. There's a few of us that go to the cinema and we do exactly that. You can't go home after, you just have to go and talk about what's going on. Yeah.
Well, I think we lost that art a bit because most pubs are too noisy. I mean, St Leonard's, turn the music down, please. But, because I love it in there, but I can never talk.
It is very loud.
Deafening. Whereas you end up going to the Horse and Groom.
You go to the Horse and Groom.
Where you can talk to people.
You can.
And I like that. I mean, I'll never go to the Piper again because I can't talk in there.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
I probably don't do enough.
No.
But, edit that out.
That will be blurred slightly.
Yeah. But... and I think that sort of ability to watch something and talk about it is great, actually. You know what I mean? And I love places like Dark Circles because they play really complicated jazz in there, don't they?
They do.
Rob and I go in there all the time and listen to this really complex jazz. What was it you said? We walked in there one day and they were playing some really heavy stuff. You turned around and to me, you said, they're playing our tune. And I kind of went, what tune is that then? This is just
about
mad
12
stuff.
tunes.
Is it a tune? You know what I mean? But again, it's like a nice space to sort of talk about music and talk about those sort of things. And I think those spaces are really important, I think. And, one of the things that keeps me here is that ability to talk to people about things. And I think during COVID we lost that a lot. And regaining that is really important, I think.
I totally agree. So I've been down and seen your wonderful exhibition at Dark Circles.
Oh, that was me. I did that.
Oh, you did that. Oh, you did. Oh, that's you of Robin, isn't it?
Yeah.
Of course it is.
So that was 52 drawings of Robin to represent one week of the year.
Yeah.
Every week of the year, because basically every time we go out for a coffee, which we'll do after this, I draw Robin and he uses my phone to research history.
Yeah.
So I do a drawing of you every time we go for a coffee every night. And I suddenly went to Adam and said, I've got these drawings, can I just put them up for Autism Week? And he went, yeah. And he's now asked me to come back and do 52 more. Oh. So we'll do that.
They're great pictures though. Yeah.
Well, they're also, it's funny that some of them are him, some of them are clearly me, but looking like him, and some of them are kind of happy, some of them are angry, some of them are lost, some of them are confused. It's like, it kind of represents the feeling of our days, doesn't it, really, Robin? Because we have good days and bad days, don't we?
In Northern again.
In Northern.
In Northern, in York.
You always have your good and bad days in a Northern accent, it's better.
You've been a fascinating guest. Thank you so much.
There was a time when I was doing drawings that I was really into politics. I just did characterisations of all the madness that's going on, unfortunately, going through. But I've given that up, gone to history because I love history. And the thing is, let's just say I'm just so bored of politics nowadays.
Can we cheers you with that? Because you know what? You're in very, very good company. We're all very bored with politics. Thank you so much for coming in, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure, real pleasure. Yeah. So much to hear about what you're doing. Thank you, Robin. Thank you, John.
Thank you, it's a pleasure.
Yeah.
And I said I'm happy to come back in and talk about theatre at some point. And,
absolutely.
Because there's lots of things bubbling away underneath the surface there, and one of the disappointing things is that people appear in this town and they don't sign in with me at all. So I don't know they're here.
Come on, sign in.
There should be a system, surely.
Yes.
Have you reported into John yet? No.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
You need to do that first.
Exactly that. Exactly.
I think I know how old people feel in towns, basically, because you arrive in a town and you go, hey, I've got this idea for something, and someone's in the background going,
the jaded.
I did that years ago when nobody was here.
So passé.
I know.
When there was no audience for it,
I know. The thing is, I did that years ago when there was nobody here to pay for it.
Yeah.
Thank you for turning up now.
Absolutely.
Now that I'm too tired to do it.
No, it's been great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'm sure at some point we'll get you in again for your next project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Robbie. You've been a lovely guest.
Yeah,
thank you,
thank you so much.
Pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Thank you.